Hello and welcome to the Blackout podcast, where I get to talk to amazing people that do amazing things. And today I have Stu Cochrane from Blue Collar Barbershop in Garden Street. Thanks for coming on the podcast today.
No worries.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
So, COVID happened and you had to close, but then I know you were just about to start some, renovations in the shop.
Yeah.
Was that was there, I guess, some good just from the COVID shutdown?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was going to shut down the shop. I started planning my renovations in November, and I was going to shut down the shop for about 5 days in May, which is not ideal. It's a pretty busy month. You know, it's just the end of spring, getting into summer. People want to get their haircuts for their time off and whatnot. So it was kind of like, well, I'll get it done and pick a time and do it. But then being shut down for almost 3 months is like,
wow.
Fuck, what better time to do it?
So, what were some of the renovations you had in mind for the shop?
So we started off with just a very blank space. So I had concrete floors to begin with. I had a weird open segment in the back where basically it was a space that my bathroom kind of created, left this blank little 7x11 alcove in the back of the space. So I wound up actually walling that off and turning it into a staff lunchroom kind of thing.
Oh.
/ storage area. I put flooring down, repainted the shop, put floating countertops with sinks in instead of I used to use Husky toolbox kind of things for workstations. I put a sliding door on the bathroom, like a barn door kind of thing, and put in 2 extra barber chairs. So I went from having space for 4 people, now I have the space for 6 people.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you've hired new people, or?
I was planning on it, but now I can't really hire any more people right now because I'd have to alter my space again and install dividers.
Because
and
of the
stuff.
space and
Yeah,
stuff.
so we got to keep the 6 feet.
Yeah. So we'll come back to that, but let's start your journey. How did you decide? Okay, I want to cut hair. Was that always there, or?
Okay, so a long time ago when I was a teenager, I was all about my hair. I was a metalhead though, so I grew my hair really long. It was down the middle of my back.
Oh wow!
And I was like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I would be like, you know what? I listen to Megadeth and Slayer, and these are all my favorite bands. And I play guitar. I'm in a band. I have to have long hair. Short hair's for fucking losers if you're a metalhead. And it was that was it for me.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was angry, angsty teenager for no reason, and eventually I calmed down a little bit. I cut my hair a little bit shorter, and shortly after that, maybe about a year or 2 after that, I was being used as a guinea pig for my sister, who you've interviewed in the past.
Kat.
Yeah, when Kat was doing hair school and stuff like that, she would practice her really short haircuts on me. Had a few not so great ones. I mean, as anyone who's doing that to begin with, but that definitely worked out for me in the long run, because then my haircuts got better and better and better from her, to the point where I was like, okay, cool. I think short hair is pretty fucking cool now too. And I'd been working as a barista. I did that for about 6 or 7 years before I got into barbering. And I needed a change. I was tired of starting work at 5:30, 6 in the morning. It's the coffee industry is a lot of fun, but it's one of those industries where unless you open a cafe, which is $150,000 in debt right off the bat, you're only going to make maximum $13-14 an hour. It's I want to be able to retire one day, or at least slow down a little bit. So I started asking around. I knew that I wanted to do something where I could continue to work with my hands and continue to be talking to people. So I thought, what's the next best option? There was a tattoo shop that I had been talking with about starting to take their bookings and, clean up the shop kind of thing, which they said, if it went well, eventually could have led to an apprenticeship. But the concept of breaking people's skin for a living kind of backed me off a little bit there.
Yeah.
That fell through. Whatever, shit happens, and so I was just like, went and talked to my sister. I was like, what about what you do? Like, I can't afford to go to school. Like what would you recommend I do? Is there any way for me to like do like an apprenticeship program or something like that? And my sister's a hairstylist. She does fantastic shorter masculine style haircuts. She's like, well, you can't really through the Cosmetology Association do apprenticeships at the moment. They don't have that yet. But she's like, I know the Barbers Association does. Why don't you go check out some barbershops? Oh. So I, at the time I was working at 2F by C when it was on the waterfront. So I went and talked to Rob Oxner, who owns St. Louis. My friend Dexter worked there. He was doing great haircuts there. So I went and talked to him. I was like, what do you recommend? Like, is there any way you'd be willing to apprentice me? He didn't have the time or the space, which is understandable. It's a huge responsibility to teach someone a new career. But he recommended that I talk to Joel Martell, who owns Oddfellows Barbershop. Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, because I worked for 2F by C, it was owned by Anchored Coffee. I had been working at the Anchored Coffee espresso bar at Pro Skates, where Oddfellows is. I was like, oh shit, that's what he does? He cuts hair back there? Okay, cool. Because he had only just opened up about the same time I talked to Rob. Okay. So I went and I just hung out at Oddfellows one day, waited for Joel to finish up his last client of the day. He's like, he just looks at me, he's like, you just waiting for a drive or something like that? I was like, no, I'm actually waiting to talk to you. I got nothing going on tonight. So when he's finished his last haircut, we sat down, we talked for like 15, 20 minutes. I expressed interest in it. And he's like, well, I'm like considerably further along than my business plan at this point. He's like, I'm going to need help probably in the next like 6 months or 8 months. He's like, so if you're willing to, he's like, we can do a few practice haircuts on some hairstyling mannequins. You can see if you like it. I can see if I like you enough to the point to teach you all this stuff. He's like, and then we'll take it from there. And that'll be 6 years ago in October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how long were you with him for?
I was with Joel as an apprentice for 9 or 10 months.
What would that involve?
So that's just, it starts out with you just going in, sweeping the floor, answering the phones, basically doing work to allow the, I guess, for lack of a better term, the master barber to focus on what they're doing. And you kind of earn your place in the space. As most apprenticeships, they're unpaid. And so you're working for free, but you're getting paid in knowledge. So it was like, sweep the floor, answer the phone, ring through clients, and just stand next to the guy who's teaching you and watch what they're doing. Ask
Do they
questions.
ever like talk to? Oh yeah, I was gonna ask that.
Yeah. So it's a lot of like, hey, so you see what I'm doing with my clippers right here, and when I've got my clipper comb here. This is called clipper over comb, and this is how you create this type of weight line along the side of the head, so you can connect it into the top later on with your scissors and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it easy to understand right away, or?
Oh my god, man! The first like 4 or 5 months, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is fucking weird. This is hard. Like, this is a completely foreign concept to me. And I just like, well, I'm not gonna quit until I start doing haircuts on people and see if I like it. And honestly, my first haircut I did, I was like, I put on. I've just made some Kijiji ads. I put an ad on Kijiji and I was like, hey, taking appointments for next Friday or whatever it was. This was like a Wednesday night or something. It's like, so feel free to send me a message if you want to get a haircut next week. And this guy emails me.
Would you charge lower than? Like...
I just do free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the first probably first 100 haircuts I did were all free. I was like, I got space next week if you want to come in. He sends me an email like, I just live around the corner from the shop. Can I come in now? And I looked at Joel and I was like, is this cool? Like, can I bring him in? He's like, yeah, sure. And like, the guy came in. I told him like I was only doing like what my boss told me to do. He's like, that's fine. I was like, so we're going to do this. He's like, I don't like that. I don't want you to do that. I was like, I just fucking told you, like, you're getting a free haircut. And he's like, cool. He's like, take your time, take as much time as you need. I was like, cool. It's probably gonna be like at least an hour and a half because I'm
Whoa.
slow. I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, oh yeah, that's fine. 20 minutes into the haircut, he looks at his watch. He's like, yeah, can we like hurry this up? I got things to do. It's like, man, I just fucking told you it's gonna take a while. It's like, okay, cool, sure. I guess I'll go as fast as I can, even though I don't know how fast I can go. And yeah, about an hour and 15, hour and a half later, guy left not super happy with his haircut, and I was like, this guy fucking sucks. But I mean, this is still like I put a lot of work into it. I guess I'll keep going. I'll keep doing it.
So, like, at what point, how long or how many customers from that person did you have your first? Oh, I like this from a client.
Probably, honestly, like I'd say 99% of my clients are awesome. Like, and have always been awesome. Like, I don't get a lot of people who are difficult or pushy or anything like that. Honestly, I do like working with people, and so it's almost like an exercise in humility, working with people on a daily basis. Because like, I've got clients who are from one particular individual. He's got 2 or 3 university degrees. He's from Egypt. He's lived all over the world. I have to bring myself up to his level to have a conversation with him, and we'll talk for the entire time he's in the chair about things going on in the world and things going on in our personal lives. Same with like, I'll get like a high school student, like kid in grade 11, like I don't know if you remember being like a 17-year-old boy, but that's like the goofiest thing on the planet, and I can like bring myself back a little bit to like dick and fart jokes, whatever. It's like, what else do you talk to a teenager about? It's a really fun job because you get to just converse with everyone, like all walks of life, all age groups, and yeah, it's just like everyone, any type of customer service job, you get that 1% of people who just make you want to take the day off.
So, like, did you ever actually work as a barber in the Odd Fellows, or?
Yeah, so I did about 8 to 10 month kind of thing apprenticeship, and then I only worked there for about 6 or 7 months as a barber. Just luck of the draw had it that an opportunity opened up at another barbershop that had just opened up. Oddfellows is a very sleek, very high end, much more almost verging on like stylistic kind of barbering, like much more complicated haircuts, very highly texturized and stylish haircuts. And I was like, I want to be a fucking barber. I want to do like just a really nice classic haircut, and I want to have like I want to have some cool artwork on the walls and something a bit more like me kind of thing, because I personally think like it's one of those jobs that you can show a lot of your personality. And so this other barbershop just opened up. I had a lot of mutual friends with the owner. His name's Jesse Resk. He owns Northeast Barber, actually just down the road from here. So I went there, and I worked there for almost 3 years, I think 2.5, 3 years.
Wow.
And then it was like, you know what, time to go all in.
Yeah, I guess. How do you come to that decision to do your stuff?
Maybe it's a little bit of arrogance. I don't know, but like my entire life I've always felt like, if I've gotten good at something, that I should just like have control. I don't know, maybe probably some arrogance in there, but it's everyone thinks that they can do the job better than the next guy, or they can like their version is going to be the right way. So I was like, I'll just try my own way. And if it fails, it fucking fails.
So, I guess from making that decision, how long did it take to actually get to day one of Blue Collar?
So I started really thinking about it about 1.5 years into my time at Northeast. I had always toyed with the idea, like even when I was an apprentice, like I'd like to open up my own shop one day. So I started after about 1.5 years, just like when I'd find something really cool that I didn't have any place for in my house or at my station at the shop. I had a little bin in my basement. I would like put like framed artwork down there or knickknacks or things like that. Just started saving stuff, waiting for the day when like it sort of came about. And then actually I actually wound up borrowing some money from my parents. I was a Christmas. It'll be 3 years ago. Um, my parents got my dad specifically. He's ex-military. Back in the 90s, he had a really bad go with the military. Not to get too far into details with it, but he wound up being dismissed wrongfully, and he's got a lot of residual health issues from his time in the military. So they got a nice little package from Veterans Affairs. So Dad bought himself a new car, and bought some stuff for my sister. And they're like, "You still want to open that barbershop?" I was like, "Yeah." Why? And they're like, "Oh well, we can make it happen for you. We can help you make it happen." So I put in a lot of my own money. They lent me the rest to get me up to where I needed to be, and I just kind of took it from there. And
So, like, how did you find that location you're in now in Gottingen?
so I didn't live too far from there at the time. I just lived on Almond Street, and I would walk down past it every day to go to work. And one of my friends, his name's Sonny Adamski. He co-owns Dairy Bar, Cafe Good Luck, Manual Coffee and Baking. And he was telling me that he had actually spoken with that landlord there about putting in a space there. He's like, I'd rather open a spot in Dartmouth. He's like, that's where my family is. That's where my friends are. He's like, I'd rather go to keep it in Dartmouth. And he's like, so I'm going to pass on, but you should reach out and talk to these guys. So I did. And I sent them an email. Didn't hear back from them for a couple weeks. And I was talking to my mom about it, and she's like, well, you should definitely reach out again, because your grandfather grew up right around the corner from there.
Oh.
So it's the spot's on Gottingen Street, just by Prince William. And my grandfather grew up on the corner of Cornwallis and Barrington, so that was his neighborhood when he was my age, walking around, just living in the neighborhood kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Like, we've got some familial roots in the area. So finally I found the phone number of one of the owners of the building there, and I called him, and he's like, oh yeah, I got your email. I was like, I meant to respond to it. I must not have responded to it.
Yeah.
So I wound up meeting with him. I took the first week off of 2018. I was like, take a few days off to relax and rest up myself, because whenever I tend to work a lot of hours anyways, because I enjoy what I do, but I've been doing it for, at this point, 4 years. I was 50-hour, 60-hour work weeks every week.
Whoa.
Burning myself out. So I was like, I'm going to take a week off work. And I wound up spending a lot of time that week off just doing prep work, because I went and I checked out the space, met with the new landlord, signed a lease.
Oh, wow.
Got all this stuff done in the week, and I was like, holy fuck, this is happening.
So, like, then when you got the shop and then you're about to leave, was it gonna be just you there cutting hair, or?
Initially, it was just going to be myself going, but we had a friend who was like my wife also cuts hair. We had a friend who was going through a bit of a hard time with his job, and he needed to change his life, so he actually enrolled in Barber College. But his fiance at the time was pregnant.
Oh.
And it was looking like he wasn't going to be graduating from school until about 2 or 3 months after his child was born. So he dropped out of school. He's like, I gotta focus on family stuff. So I reached out to the Barber Association, and I asked, like, can I continue his educational hours at the shop and make it so he can still get his barber license, but also, have time to actually work. So, I mean, he was working part-time at a restaurant down the road and making a little bit of money at the shop, and worked out pretty great for him, I think. He was able to still not throw away all that time in school, which is nice.
Yeah, that was like, how did you even figure out you could do that, or you just?
I knew the registrar for the Barbers Association, so I just called him and asked what was going on and if that was a possibility.
Okay.
And
so you started right away. Your wife, how did you meet?
so I met my wife probably almost 7 years ago now, just through friends of friends. She had been living in Montreal, and then she moved back to Halifax. And I grew up in playing music, like playing in a lot of metal bands and punk bands. She grew up in the punk scene. Like, she's about 7 years older than me. So I knew a lot of her friends that she used to have back before she moved away, and just met through mutual friends kind of thing.
So, like, did she call hair Montreal or?
No, she was actually she was a cook for a long time. She did when she was in Montreal. She actually worked for Gordon Ramsay.
What?
Yeah, yeah. She's
You just mentioned that in passing.
yeah. Well, it's like if you work for Gordon Ramsay, you would just work for one of his like hundreds of restaurants.
Yeah, sure,
She did get to meet him a few times. Apparently, he's actually a lot nicer than he pretends to be
Yeah,
on TV.
I think it's just a TV thing. But
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. But yeah, that restaurant actually closed because he sold it to another company.
Oh, okay.
And then the restaurant got sort of run to the ground. And she's like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going back home. And then she started working at the Bicycle Thief. She was there for about 4 years. They changed ownership. She just got really burnt out on it. And I was like, hey, like, I can teach you how to cut hair. You mentioned that you were interested in it. We can... Like, it's cool with my boss. Like, Jesse's cool with it if I...
Oh, this was... You're still at Oddfellows?
at Northeast.
Oh, Northeast, yes.
Yeah, so I talked to Jesse about it, and he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, she can definitely apprentice here. Like, that'd be great. Get a third body in the shop. And, about 8 months to a year for her, because she was still working like 45, 50 hours a week, and then coming in on her spare time, like right after work, and... This is a long time.
Yeah,
it was hard work, but she pulled it off, and she's killing it now.
Oh man!
Yeah.
So then you guys, you said I'm doing this. It happens. Like, does she still cut hair in the shop? Or
yeah,
okay.
she's so about 6 or 7 months after I opened up, it was getting really busy, and the shop was hitting its stride, kind of thing. I was like, we need some help. I was looking around, and then she's like, I really enjoyed working with you. I'd like to come up and, work with you. So I go, perfect. I know how you cut hair. I know how you work with your clients.
Yeah.
There's no mysteries. This is perfect.
Yeah. So, what is the process like? Do you book hair online or?
Yeah. So, before all the restrictions came into place because of COVID, we use a company called Reserva. They've got like an app and a website that you can go through to book online. You can call us to book in, or we would even take walk-ins, like if we had the space for it. We're kind of toying with the idea again of taking walk-ins now that we're used to our new restrictions. It's just a matter of finding the right way to do it at this point.
Yeah, because like now with COVID, people only come right on time, like on the time And do you have like fees if people cancel or?
I mean, if you cancel and you give me enough time to, even an hour, whatever, like hour or two is fine. But if you're like, your appointment's in 3 minutes and you call, like I can't fill that space. Like there's no chance. Because we are at such a reduced capacity, we're only at about 70% capacity right now. And this is very common. I think most barbershops in Halifax are doing it. If you super last minute cancel your appointment or you don't show up, the next time you come in for your appointment, you got to pay for your missed appointment.
Yeah.
Like if you have a reason like, holy shit, my kid fell down and broke his arm, I'm not gonna be like, well, too fucking bad. That's 2 haircuts, please. But if it's like, yeah, I just forgot about my haircut, or I didn't feel like coming in, it's like, well, you wasted my time and everyone else who wanted to get a haircut. Like,
so now I guess like with the haircut, is there like a flat rate, or the type of haircut determines that?
we do pretty well flat rate kind of thing. Like if you just want something really, really simple, like you just want like a number 1 buzz cut or whatever, like buzz cuts we charge $15 for it, and beard trims are 15. Kids cuts flat rate $20. Because with kids, sometimes you can give them the best haircut. Because if your kid's gonna sit like a statue, your kid's gonna get a fantastic haircut. But if your kid's like doing this, it's like the kid's getting the haircut that they can get. So some kids, it's a fantastic deal. Others, it's cheaper because it's not gonna be as delicately put on your head. And then a haircut's $30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Now, what are some of the restrictions in place apart from the spacing in the shop?
Okay, so we barbers have to wear masks at all times. Um, if we do a beard trim, when you take off your mask, we have to put on a face shield.
Oh, the
Yeah.
clients wears a mask too.
Yeah, so the client has to wear a mask the moment, even before they get in the shop. It has to be put on outside before you
Yeah.
come in.
So someone forget a mask. Do you have mask in
Yeah.
the store? Okay.
Yeah, I've got some disposable, just cheap little medical masks.
Mm.
Um, you know, we say we charge $2 for them. Most of the time, we forget to charge people for them.
Okay, so the person has a mask on for a haircut, but when they're shaving, they take it off and
Yeah, so we're not doing straight razor shaves at the moment, just because we
okay.
find like if you're same as you wear glasses, you wear a mask, your glasses steam up. Yeah, you wear a mask with a face shield. Face shield steams up, and the last thing you want to do when you can't see is do a straight razor shave. Yeah. So
They'll be like, there is oh man, it's like really old, but I think it's not the Untouchables, but anyway, there's a film where I think Robert De Niro plays Al Capone, and then he uses straight razor on
yeah,
someone. Oh,
I don't want that scene going on in the
why are those
barbershop.
things so sharp? They're really, really sharp.
Oh man, they're so sharp. I've cut myself a few times in the past. But
Okay, so it's just like with the clip on.
yeah, if
stuff.
someone wants to like their beard taken off with the trimmers or something like that, we can definitely do that. But we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where it's potentially dangerous for our clients.
So yeah, the other day I was driving by Goddard and there was a line of people just sitting down outside, kind of waiting. Were they waiting to come into the shop too?
There might have been some of them might have been waiting to come into us. My neighbors at Jibo, the cell phone repair place, they don't take appointments or anything like that. It's all walk-ins, but they only allow like two or three clients in the shop at a time,
Okay.
so they'll get a little overflow. Then there's Real Fake Meats, which is like the most popular vegan restaurant in town. They're
Yeah.
always lined up.
Oh,
So just my like little strip is like, there's always someone waiting,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say 90% of the time it's for Real Fake Meats because people want to get that. They want to get that vegan donair.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah. So now, like, what are some other changes that COVID has brought to the shop?
So we have to have 15 minutes between each client to like sanitize and sterilize and spray everything down, which honestly I think is when there is a vaccine and when they lift restrictions and stuff like that. I'm not going to keep my appointment time at the 45 minutes it's at now, but I'm going to go down to 40 because I'm enjoying having the extra time. Like we used to do 30 minutes, and it's a 30-minute haircut, but honestly it's, you got to get in the chair, I got to put the cape on you, wet your hair down, section it off, figure out what we're doing. So honestly, and then by the end I got to shave your neck, style your hair, and you're going to pay, and that's all in 30 minutes. So it's like it's really about a 24-minute haircut. But if we do 40 minutes, you're getting a 30-minute haircut, which gives us all that extra time to hit every last little detail, make sure everything is as perfect as can be. And it's nice to slow down after like
Yeah, right.
almost 6 years of just giving it.
So, do you guys have kids?
No.
Okay. So like, what's the opening times of the shop?
So on the schedule is we open at 9 a.m., but I'm usually there about 8:45, starting a little bit earlier, 8:45, 8:30. Megan usually comes in for 10 because we do have a dog. She wakes up the same time as me. She takes care of the dog, takes her for a walk in the morning. I go to work. I get my day going a little bit earlier. And then we're pretty much always closed right at 6.
Okay.
But sometimes we'll, because of our 45-minute spacing, it'll have us a space that you can't book that's at 5:45. So if someone comes in and they're a regular or something like that and they want to get a haircut, well, we can take a look and say, hey, well, yeah, I can get you into the last space of the day at 5:45 and we'll get out at 6:30 kind of thing.
Yeah. And the bookings are still all done through Reserva, this
Yep.
website. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you, like is a fee to the company?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a flat rate once a month kind of thing.
Oh, no matter how many bookings you get.
Yeah, so they've got like tiers.
Oh,
So like
okay.
I think it's 100 or less is this much, 200 or less is this
Okay.
much, and then unlimited is like It's not that bad. It's under $100 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many apart from you and Megan, your wife?
Yeah.
How many people? Like, do you have other barbers in the shop?
Yeah. So currently there are 3 of us all together. But starting early September, I've got someone else coming on, and then I've got two empty chairs that are in the middle between that are just going to stay empty for the time being. Yeah. Then once restrictions are lifted, I'm hiring.
Talking of the hiring thing, like, I mean, you've been through different people you worked with, apprenticeship, and then working in a barbershop. What is your own process for deciding the people that you work in the blue collar barbershop?
I mean, obviously, if you can do a good haircut, that's a plus. But if you can't do a great haircut, I can teach you. But if you have a bad personality that's not going to fit with the rest of us, you're not getting hired. Like I'm very happy with, like, I'm pretty moderate, like middle of the road kind of guy. My wife Megan, because of her years as a cook, is a little bit higher end energy wise. Like, she's fast, she's a little bit louder, talks a lot more than everybody else because she has that drive. And then Amber, our third hire, is she's quieter, she's more reserved, so she's on the lower end. So the last thing I need is like I call them a 0 to 100 personality, like someone who's going to come in and just be like, mad right off the bat at something, or just be too loud or too aggressive or anything like that. Because I don't care if you do a fantastic haircut. If you're going to talk over your client, you're not going to talk to your client, you're going to be rude, or you're going to be disrespectful to your coworkers. You're getting the fuck out of my shop.
So the renovations are all done now.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You put so how, like, the Instagram for the barbershop is crazy. Who's behind that? Is it all you?
It's mostly all me. I actually hired a friend of Megan's to help out a lot.
Okay.
Her name's Sarah Russell. She used to do a lot of stuff with, like, Jazz Fest and Pop Explosion.
Oh.
So she helps me with a lot of, like, scheduling and stuff like that. But I just try to post something that, like, looks good and give it, like, less of a throwaway feel when I put up a post, not posting for the sake of posting.
Yeah. I don't use my Instagram. Mine is like, okay, I'm gonna put that. But it's like, you guys, it's planned out. I like that. I like the pictures. I guess it also helps that your shop looks as good as it looks. So it's
We
like,
do our best.
You turn to take a photo, it's like, oh yeah, that looks good. That looks good. So now, what are with all these changes that COVID has brought into just life in general, do you, like, feel any changes within your life at home and then the shop?
I've gotten so used to it, man. Like, I think by now, like, if you're not used to it, you're never gonna get used to it. Like, our legislation that we had, like, for our reopening plan that the government gave us, like, we've been wearing masks since June 5th when we reopened. So, and our clients have had to wear masks since June 5th, like, whenever they come in the space. So, like, the whole mandatory mask thing that recently came around is not a big change. It's not a big deal. It's like, fuck, whatever. I was trying to wear a mask anyways. Is like my parents were in the UK at the end of February, and
just before it.
Yeah, and when they got back, they were doing their isolation. I think they got back like March 8th or March 10th or something like that, doing their isolation. My dad's not in the best health anyway, so he's definitely the person who it would, when it first was come about, was one of the sort of the prime targets for COVID. My parents were doing their isolation. About 5 or 6 days in, they're like, yeah, we're not feeling good. Next day, we're going to go get tested. Then 2 days after that, mom tested negative and dad tested positive.
Wow.
So dad had COVID. 5 or 6 days after he got tested positive, he started to come around. He's getting a little bit better. And then 1:30 in the morning, I got a phone call from my mom freaking out because he just took a turn for the worst. I had to have an ambulance called to come get checked. And his oxygen saturation was going way down.
Wow.
So that happened about 2 or 3 times where they had to send ambulances out, which is like, I'm not sure what it's like now, but when an ambulance went out, it was like they knew you were a COVID patient. They had to like basically wear a hazmat suit to come
Yeah.
in and take a look at you.
Mm.
So I think it was the third call, he wound up going to the hospital, and he spent 3 weeks in the hospital
Wow.
with about 5 or 6 days in ICU.
Damn it.
And so he got out of the hospital at the end of April, I believe, and he's still not 100% back to normal. He's still got swelling of his lungs and irritation.
Wow.
Testing negative for it. He's had several tests afterwards, but just seeing like, you know, how vicious COVID can be and how fucked up it is. Like, see a lot of people like, oh, it's, you know, it's like the flu. It's fine. It's 100 years ago, if we didn't have the common cold and we got this now, it'd be like this too. It's like, I don't fucking care. Wear a mask.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a mask. You should wear a mask.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to work unless we both wear it. So just fucking put it on, please.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, and it's when you hear stories like I think, you know, there are a lot of stories of people that either say, no, this isn't real, and then either they end up getting infected. And I think it's to me, it's not even that them getting infected. It's the fact that now they become people that spread it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But thankfully, at least here from like the announcements we hear, we are doing at least better in this region.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we could. So yeah, wear your fucking mask, really.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
Yeah. So yeah, no. I have so many questions, but because I'm planning something else that we talked about earlier. I'm gonna end it with this one. Like you started from. Okay, I don't like my haircut, to cutting hair, to starting your business, to running it, to actually having people working with you now. What advice would you have for someone that wants to start something, like start a business?
Just do your research, plan it out, and put in the fucking hours.
Put in the fucking ass. I like that one.
My first 6 months, I was doing 75 hours a week,
Whoa.
6 days a week, like 10, 11, 12-hour days. Like, just if you don't put in the work at first, you're going to be putting in longer hours later on down the road when you're already tired and burnt out and worn out. Just put it in first and get it to the point where you can take a step back. Don't expect to be successful overnight, because it doesn't happen.
Wow.
No.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you for having me.